Good morning. Let's get into around the world news for this morning. Race against time in Vietnam's north. Rescue ops intensify as flash floods, landslides leave 14 killed. More missing. Rescue operations are intensifying across Vietnam's northern mountainous province after torrential rainfall triggered devastating flash floods and landslides, resulting in at least 14 confirmed deaths and several others reported missing, primarily in Dien Bien province. Footage filmed on Saturday shows rescue workers and soldiers clearing the aftermath of the devastating natural disaster. Several buildings can be inundated and destroyed amid the piles of rubble scattered across a muddy river. Dien Bien Provincial Secretary Tran Koik Kwon, participating directly in rescue efforts, attributed the disaster to large-scale floods caused by relentless downpours between July 31st and August 1st. Some people are still missing and have not been found. Some others were injured and are being treated. He said in this village there are 80 people out of 17 houses here. 14 houses have been completely filled with water and the remaining houses are no longer safe. The floods have caused a widespread disruption. Local media reports significant damage to infrastructure, with traffic paralyzed and power lines severed across parts of Dien Bien. The impact extends beyond Dien Bien, with neighboring provinces San La, Puto, and Tuyen Quan also hit hard by violent flooding. Several communities in these areas have reportedly been isolated due to severed transport and power links. About 700 personnel, including police and military forces, were deployed to the affected areas to search for the missing. Viable path to resolving the conflict. Ruto and Mnangagwa present African-led initiative to address escalating DRC crisis at EAC SADC meeting. President of Kenya, William Ruto, and his Zimbabwean counterpart, Emerson Mnangagwa, agreed to develop a united peace initiative aimed at bringing a lasting peace to Eastern DRC at a meeting in Nairobi on Friday. Speaking at the joint EAC SADC summit, President Ruto said the combined efforts of the new African-led initiative can help bring an end to the mass suffering of Congolese people. We believe that a sustained, coordinated Africa-led peace process remains the best pathway to a stable and peaceful Eastern DRC, he declared. We did decide to take the historic step, the first time ever that has happened in this continent, to bring two regional economic blocs together to facilitate the resolution of the process in the Eastern DRC, because we realized that this was a situation that was threatening to run out of control and to destabilize the whole region, he added. For his part, President Mnangagwa reaffirmed the bloc's commitment to reaching an enduring solution while thanking the leaders of the African Union. Allow me to underscore my readiness and that of our two regional blocs to constantly engage with you and to facilitate our important work until peace and stability is realized in Eastern DRC, he told the summit. The landmark meeting, co-chaired by leaders of the Eastern African Community and the Southern African Development Community, was convened in a response to escalating conflict in Eastern DRC with the aim of unifying regional peace efforts. The summit formally presented the African-led framework endorsed by the African Union, a combined initiative made up of the EAC's Nairobi process and SADC's Luanda process.
We believe I'd like to seize this opportunity to express the African Union Commission appreciation for our leaders in this region for their tireless efforts for the sake of peace in Eastern DRC. I also welcome our former presidents, members of the Committee of Facilitators, whose wisdom and experience will be of great help during the next stages of the peace process in Eastern DRC.
The purpose of this joint EAC SADC meeting is to brief the panel of facilitators on their mandate of facilitating inclusive dialogue among the various actors in Eastern DRC with a view to addressing among other things, the root causes and to restore sustainable peace and stability in Congo. This was born out of the realization by the EAC and SADC leaders that recent escalation in violence in parts of Eastern DRC, including North and South Kivu, have inflicted immense suffering, mass displacement, and triggered concerns about the stability of our region. It was further informed by the recognition that a political solution was the only viable path to resolving the conflict in Eastern DRC. We will be considering proposals on a framework for the merger of these processes, the terms of reference for the facilitators, and the process design for inclusive mediation process in Eastern DRC from our technical teams drawn from EAC, SADC, and AU based on our earlier directives. These documents will guide us on the way forward with respect to formally launching the interventions by our panel of facilitators. We believe that a sustained, coordinated, Africa-led peace process remains the best pathway to a stable and peaceful Eastern DRC. Let me reiterate our commitment as joint chairs to providing leadership on this process on behalf of our joint EAC SADC Summit of Heads of State and Government. And we did decide to take the historic step, the first time ever that has happened in this continent, to bring two regional economic blocs together to facilitate the resolution of the process in Eastern DRC, because we realized that this was a situation
impossible to do business. Kashmiri artisans, farmers concerned as Trump's 25% tariffs threaten Indian traditional industries. Handicraft artisans and farmers in Kashmir shared concerns after the U.S. President Donald Trump's administration slapped a 25% addition import duty on Indian goods. Right now, my company exports 80% of the goods to the U.S. Pashmina products exporter Mujtaba Quadri stated, with the 25% tariffs coming up, this will be a disaster for people like us. Footage filmed on a Saturday shows artisans working on wooden looms, weaving traditional carpets and fabrics of Pashmina wool. Meanwhile, farmers can be seen picking a full basket of apples in the orchard. For a region where agriculture, horticulture, and handicrafts form the pulsing heart of the economy, the tariff increase threatens to choke exports, drive up costs, and push thousands of livelihoods to the brink. 8,000 to 10,000 crores of carpets from India go to the U.S. market, so a big contribution of this goes to the rural economy. Most of it goes to weavers and artisans. Handicrafts exporter Sheikh Ashik stated Kashmir's agricultural products will also be affected. Apple farmer Shnawaz Amd added there should be free trade across the world so that we face no obstacles. In the search of ways to retain their orders and artisans, some exporters quickly search for other markets. I feel for the time being we have to explore new markets because with such tariffs it is impossible to do business, as Sheikh said. Last week, Trump announced his intention to impose a 25% tariff on goods imported from the country from August 1st unless the countries reach a trade deal by that date. In addition, India faces a penalty tariff for purchasing arms and oil from Russia. On Saturday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, despite trade tensions between India and the U.S., shared optimistic plans for his country to become the third largest economy in the world. This era has passed, but his music lives on. Thousands sing through candlelight in Accra to honor music legend Daddy Lumba. Thousands of mourners gathered at Accra's Independence Square on Saturday night for a candlelight vigil in memory of a Ghanaian legend Daddy Lumba, a week after his death at the age of 60 on July 26. Footage shows mourners dressed in black singing along to some of Daddy Lumba's most iconic songs. Ghana will remember Lumba, a musician who came in and made hit after hit after hit. If you listen to his album, everything on. It is a hit. We thank you, Lumba. May your soul rest in peace, perfect peace, but your music lives on, said the president of the Ghanaian Musicians Union, Bessa Simmons. This is a celebration of an icon, and I keep on saying that this is an era that passed and will never come back, because there will never be another Daddy Lumba. There is a vacuum that can never be filled, because there is none like him, added Gideon Adekwaye, acting executive secretary of Ghana's Creative Arts Agency. It comes after he suffered an illness at the Bank Hospital in Accra, with condolences subsequently flooding social media. President John Mahama praised the artist for providing the soundtrack to our lives. Former President Akufo-Addo visited the family personally. Several candlelight vigils are being held globally, including in London, Berlin, and New York, to honor the artist, many described as a national treasure and one of the most influential in Ghanaian history. Lumba's music is known for blending emotion with everyday narratives and having an impact on diaspora, with over 30 albums and more than 200 songs, including popular hits such as Yenti Obia and Aben Woha. Powerful superfood. Ghana donates 40 tons of cocoa products to Gaza amid aid crisis. The government of Ghana has donated 40 tons of cocoa products as humanitarian aid to Palestinians in a show of solidarity with its people. Footage filmed on a Friday in Accra features President John Mahama handing over premium Ghana-made chocolate and other products to the Palestine ambassador to Ghana, Abdul Fattah Amda Khalil in Al-Satari. It is symbolic because cocoa is one of Ghana's most treasured natural commodities. It embodies over national values of resilience, warmth, and generosity. Mahama said cocoa is a powerful superfood. It is rich in antioxidants and vitamins. It supports the immune system. It promotes cardiovascular health. It enhances brain function and emotional well-being, he added. Mahama also said his country remains firm in support of the negotiated two-state solution to the Palestinian question, while urging all parties in the conflict to embrace diplomacy, commit to dialogue, and end the cycle of violence. In his turn, the Palestinian ambassador thanked Mahama, "My people, our children, our women, in Gaza and the West Bank, they cannot forget his support," adding, "If this chocolate arrives in Gaza, you cannot imagine how much they will be happy, and you cannot imagine how much they will be more than happy when they eat it." The donation comes as the humanitarian situation in Gaza has been widely condemned internationally, although Israel denies that there is starvation on the ground. The Israel-Hamas war erupted on October 7, 2023, after Hamas-led attacks killed 1,139 people and took over 200 hostages. In response, Israeli military operations have resulted in 59,921 Palestinian deaths and 145,233 injuries, according to Gaza's health ministry.
To embrace diplomacy, commit to dialogue, and end the cycle of violence.
My people, our children, our women in Gaza and the West Bank, they cannot forget this support, and all of us cannot imagine.
In this regard, the government of Ghana is pleased to extend a humanitarian donation of about 40 metric tons of premium Ghana-made chocolate and cocoa-based products under the distinguished Golden Tree brand to the people of the state of Palestine. It is symbolic because cocoa is one of Ghana's most treasured natural commodities. It represents a significant source of economic livelihood for millions of Ghanaian farmers and families, and embodies our national values of resilience, warmth, and generosity. It is practical because cocoa is a powerful superfood. It is rich in antioxidants and vitamins. It supports the immune system. It promotes cardiovascular health and enhances brain function and emotional well-being. Ghana's humanitarian support also reflects our principled stand in favor of international peace, justice, and human dignity. We remain firm in our support for a negotiated two-state solution to the Palestinian question. This is in line with international law and relevant United Nations resolutions. We continue to call on all parties to the conflict to embrace diplomacy, commit to dialogue, and end the cycle of violence.
My people, our children, our women in Gaza and the West Bank, they cannot forget this support. And all of us cannot imagine if our children, after close to 2 years now, did not have food, did not have water, don't have light, don't have medicine. If this chocolate arrived to Gaza, it will arrive. And our children only see that chocolate. You cannot imagine how much they will be happy. And you cannot imagine how much they will be more than happy when they eat it.
Tremendous plan. Mexico deploys drones to seed 10 million plants and root out deforestation. Authorities from the state of Michoacan in Mexico launched a campaign to displace 200,000 pre-germinated areas affected by wildfires. A fire recently broke out in this area, which is part of our community's territory, burning approximately 119 hectares in the upper region, stated Rigoberto Saucedo Pena, alternate representative of the Ejidal Commissariat of Communal Lands of San Geronimo. Purenchecuaro. Footage shows on Thursday shows personnel from the Forest Commission of Michoacan placing thousands of seeds inside the compartment of a large agricultural drone. The drone is then lifted to begin dispersing the seeds in a locality in the municipality of Quiroga. The government has promoted the reforestation program called Simbrimos El Futuro through the CONFORM in July, and August restoration efforts are expected to target more than a dozen wildfire-affected areas across the state, aiming to rehabilitate over 50 hectares of land. Today we are here supporting the Forest Commission in its pilot program to plant pine and oak trees and help restore the affected land, added Saucedo. Before the seeds are released, the land is analyzed using maps and sensors to plan the planting. The drone then disperses the seeds in hard-to-reach areas, enabling thousands to be sown in a short time through this innovative method. During this campaign, 10 different native tree species will be planted, dispersing around 4,000 pre-germinated seeds per hectare. The program managers expect a 30% survival rate for the dispersed seeds, so confirmed technicians will carry out evaluation rounds in the different areas to assess the effectiveness of this method. The goal of this initiative is to plant 10 million trees, mainly in river and lake basins, protected natural areas, and areas affected wildfires. Detention cannot exceed 48 hours. Mass trial opens for 1,500 people detained amid deadly fuel price protests in Angola. Trials have begun for 1,500 people detained during protest over a recent fuel price hike in Angola's capital city that claimed the lives of 22 people. The hearing started at Luanda's Dona Ana Joaquina Provincial Court on Saturday. Footage shows lawyers and locals sitting outside the courtroom. The lawyer speaking with residents and the lawyer with the local signing documents outside the premises. This shows it's a selective trial, but there is also a timing issue. The detention as a preventive measure can never exceed 48 hours. Domingo Antonio, a lawyer, stated some detainees have been there since Monday and today is Saturday. The deadline has passed, meaning the detention is legal. Detainees are presumed innocent. It doesn't mean they should be judged arbitrarily, he added. The trial began early Saturday evening and some defendants were sentenced to 1 year of effective imprisonment, a decision not accepted by lawyers. At least 17 detainees were released after being heard by the court. The unrest began on Monday when drivers of Kando Nguro's blue and white minibus taxis carrying nearly 90% of Rwanda's commuters launched a 3-day strike. The protest was sparked by the government's decision to raise diesel prices from 300 to 400 Angolan kwanzas per liter. Despite its oil wealth, Angola relies heavily on inputs and faces rising inflation. Fuel generates around 70% of government's revenue and 95% of exports. Many citizens accuse the government of resource mismanagement, while large sections of the population continue to face poverty, hunger, and malnutrition.
Conforme a lei, diz assim o artigo 72 da nossa Constituição, pelo que